G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to have a look at a very special vehicle that was recently added with the squadron vehicles, and that is the Firecrest. Now, I'm not exactly sure who made it. It may be Fairy, because, Fairy, Firebrand, Fairy Firefly, the sort of naming style of Fairy. But at the same time, the Firebrand is also there. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know who made the Firecrest. Doesn't really matter. It kind of looks like a Firebrand, so you never know. Blackburn makes some awfully hideous designs, and it wouldn't be a surprise at all. Hang on. Of course it's made by Blackburn. Why wouldn't it be? Yes, it is an ugly plane, but today we're starting off in the very not so rare what is it? I have no idea what this thing's called. It's just a beefy Cromwell. That's it, the Excelsior. It's been a while. And I'm a little bit rusty in the noggin. I just spent 30 hours awake trying to fix my sleeping because I stayed up late for casting the War Thunder Grand Finals. And today was the killer day because I said yes to a shift at work. Just 14 hours sleep, not doing me too well. But what it is doing is it's giving me enough energy to sort of do a cooking stream. Yes, I will be live as this video goes live, doing a little cooking stream. So that is in the link below on my Twitch. So yeah, come and join. Come and say hi. I don't know what I'll be cooking. I'll find out something. It'll probably be a pasta sauce or something simple. And we can just have a chat about anything War Thunder, about games in general, about life in general, anything you want. Come and have a chat. Come and say hi. But we are here in the Excelsior, and one of the things that the Excelsior is good at in a down tier is bullying light tanks. So what am I going to bully here? We have a Wirbelwind and a Puma. So I hit the Puma from the front, take out all of its crew, because that shell is actually really, really good. And now I've damaged the Wirbelwind's engine. The Wirbelwind, whilst it is a fairly decent vehicle, surprisingly resistant to ammo racks for some odd reason, but there it goes, the Wirbelwind. The Excelsior itself is a rare vehicle. Probably not as rare as some might think. I think it was one of the lower tier vehicles for a marathon. So it's impressive, but it's certainly not invincible. As you can see there, I took a shot through the turret, and the turret is that weak spot on the Excelsior. The hull is extremely strong. It's something like 100mm thick everywhere, and it's still got the Cromwell's engine. I believe it's the Meteor engine, which is the Merlin engine in the Spitfires. So, if it is, and I'm pretty sure it is, that's a big plus for me being a Spitfire pilot. I love my Spitfires and everything. This thing is quick for a heavy tank, and it shifts around that weight really, really quickly. The only issue it's got is its gun. Its gun isn't that amazing, but at 4.0, you can make it work. 5.0, you're going to start to struggle. You come up against some armored tank destroyers that the Germans have that are extremely powerful, but that's okay. You've got things to deal with it, like smoke. As you can see here, I pop through the smoke straight at the Puma. What I want to do is I want to take him out, and I shoot him right there. I know my gun isn't going to raise to that that piece of wood, so I fire. Otherwise, I would lower the gun or go into sights and fire. But you can see here, I engage another target that was looking at me, and I thought at first it might have been a Stug because of the snow, but it turns out it's actually a Semovente, and the Semovente actually has a pretty pathetic gun for its battle rating. Despite having 100mm of pen, it's only heat, and it's only 100mm. This thing has 140mm of armor sloped, or when you slope it, it can go out to 140, which can block the Panzer Force. You can actually save yourself from Panzer Force shells with this tank. It is fantastic. Look how quickly it's maneuvering in the snow. I take a shot from behind, no worries. I pop some more smoke, and then I head into this smoke here, which is where I saw a Panzer III, and I'm taking a couple of little pot shots here and there, seeing what I can do, and there I see it. I see that engine, and then I shoot from the back, and I take him out. Absolutely fantastic play. This is some pretty decent gameplay that I've managed to come up with, and it's against the Germans. Remember, the Germans have very, very powerful anti-tank guns, and the Russians, they don't really have that powerful anti-tank gun theme. It's more the Germans that you have to worry about, and this is kind of like the KV-1 almost. In fact, I would call it a British KV-1 because it is extremely similar in playstyle, but it has better gun depression, I would say slightly better mobility, and a way better turret. It's almost as good, but that gun is a little bit lackluster, honestly. The gun against Panzer Force is okay. The damage is pretty reasonable. The reload rate is pretty reasonable, but the penetration is really, really low. 100 millimeters flat at 10 meters is really not going to cut it half the time for some of those bigger beasts like the KV-1B, the Super Sherman sometimes. Some of the jumbos you're going to struggle against. In fact, all of the jumbos, unless you shoot them from the side. This thing, whilst it is a good heavy tank, its armor is its most valuable thing, and honestly, it's fantastic. It's just so much fun to play. Such a blast. You can see I'm shooting a Panzer II from behind, and, a 75mm, I believe it's a 6-pounder. Oh no, it's not a 6-pounder. It's slightly bigger than a 6-pounder. Is pretty impressive. It does a lot of work for its size, and this thing has a nice low profile for a heavy tank. As I understand it, it was literally just a buffed up Cromwell. They literally took a Cromwell and just chucked big side skirts on it. Mike Osbourne will be happy about that. And I think they gave it more turret armor as well. So this thing is really, really beastly. Very, very quick on the move as well. I'd hope they increased the transmission, or at least buffed up the transmission a little bit. But you can see here, I'm on the hunt. I'm looking for that little car that I saw. I thought it might have been a Puma. I thought it might have been a flak bus, because I just saw wheels. But it turns out that it is a Puma, in fact. And that's one of the things that can really give me some havoc. Maybe not so much in this snow, but any other territory, anything that's wide and open, is really bad for the Excelsior. And this is why I picked it over the M10 in this case. If I had a map like Mozdok or Kursk or something else like that, I would have picked something that is more suitable, that has a punchier gun. Because this gun is really, really bad at long range. You need to be in a close engagement situation to really put this gun to use. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using that amazing mobility for a heavy tank to push around and flank this Panzer III, shoot him in the engine first because I know he's got a shit turret, and then I can just casually finish him off. My friendly takes out the Puma, and then I go and help the other KV-1 who's facing off against what I thought at first was a Panzer IV-G. Turns out it's a Panzer III-M, which is, not too bad. I thought he was in a bit more of a grave situation than that, but looks like everything's peachy. We've done an absolutely fantastic job racking up 6 kills in this little beast. And we're not going to stop there. We're going to jump into the Firecrest in a moment and have a look at the Firecrest. Yes, that's right. We're looking at a combo video here. In fact, a whole lineup video, but mostly on these two vehicles because I do exceptionally well in both. Now, as you can see, I'm basically just pushing up now. What I want to do is I want to start taking the important points. Try a cheeky shot on the TBD, but doesn't really come out. And that turns out that it actually spells my doom. So there goes me for being an asshole. 6 kills in the Excelsior against a Stug. And have a look where that Stug penned me. Have a look exactly on the weak spot. Fantastic shot by the Stug, and poor play by me, being a cheeky bugger again. I'm a bit of a muppet sometimes, and it pays off sometimes, and other times it causes my death, and in this case it did. So anyway, we're on to the Firecrest. The Firecrest is perhaps the most interesting vehicle in this lineup, being the newest, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of yeah, it's kind of nah, like sort of here in between. It's not bad. It's certainly not bad, but I don't think I would pick that as my main cast plane. Not at 4.0. I would say that there are better options. I definitely think the Firefly Mark V is a much better option. You have double the RP3s, you have 4 20mm Hispanos, and they're Mark Vs as well, I think. You've got a lot more to play with there than what you have on the Firecrest, although the Firecrest is impressively fast. Have a look at this. I just got the engine injection before this match, and it's very impressive. In fact, I'm able to climb up probably more than I would in a Firefly. The Firefly, obviously, it's a little bit better in overall. It's got clipped wings, so it can roll a little better. It's not as fat, but this thing is incredible. It's kind of fun. a lot of people rat on the M3 50 cals because apparently they don't do a lot of damage. But one thing that you have to realize is that to model the size of to get a better feel for the damage that a jet can take, they've increased a jet's durability 4 times over that of a prop. And in general, you can see that M3s don't really do a whole lot to, especially 2, don't really do a whole lot to jets, but in props, they're actually not bad. They're not bad guns at all. It's kind of like having 250 cals, as in M2s, the prop ones, or the ones you see on the F80A, and then you double their fire rate. It's nice. It's actually really nice. They're not bad guns at all. I first thought M3s. I laughed. I thought, gee, these are going to be pea shooters. These are going to be nothing. You see what they do on jets, and then I forgot that Gaijin increased the durability of jets, and it kind of changed it a little bit. It's really nice. It's something special, honestly, and this thing, even with a bit of damage, is surprisingly durable. I would say it's a lot more durable than the Firefly, and that gives it a little bit of bonus points, but I still wouldn't put it above the Firefly, honestly. The ability for a Firefly to just rip through stuff with 4 Hispanos is more than impressive, and I miss those rockets because I'm way out of practice, but someone who has practice with those rockets, like me when I was pretty good in the Firefly, I could get something like 8 to 12 kills with those rockets. Oh, yeah, about 8 kills, and then go back for more, and then go for another few. This thing, you only have the potential for 4, and then you have to go back, but, you do have something that I'll show in a bit that can really be useful for the Firecrest. It is surprisingly durable. That's probably its biggest advantage. And with things like the Ostwind and the Wirbelwind around, you're going to take a lot of damage. Those AA are fantastic. You have the BTR at 3.0. So, if you play it at your battle rating, and, I would up tier the BTR till about maybe 6.0. That thing is fantastic. That thing is an absolute monster of an AA. The R3T20 is something else you're going to have to face. That thing is also a monster. This thing has the speed and durability to sort of not ignore them, but you are a lot better at fighting alongside or against AA than something like the Firefly, and that's something that can't be ignored. Anyway, what I'm going to do is a jump cut to where I rearm and repair, and I'm back on the battlefield. I can see a little dot there, and it turns out to be a Stuka. Now, the Stuka, whilst it may have its bombs off, it could be the D5, and I don't want to push ahead on, but I can see he's coming around a little bit, so I'm just going to get a couple of cheeky shots, and then just leave him. And you can see there, I've taken off his tail control. This Yak 9 tries to yoink my kill, but no siree, that's mine. The Firecrest, look at that damage, by the way. That's on a bomber, or a bomber flight model, or damage model, rather. And these RP3s are doing their work. RP3s at 4.0, more than capable. 100% more than capable. And you can see exactly what I'm doing here. I'm looking for opportune targets and priority targets. If I see something that might be, getting into cover, I'll go for it with the rockets. I'll try and use them first, and then I can switch to guns. Yes, that's right. If you didn't know, against Panzer Force and even Panthers, you are able to strafe out the top deck of most vehicles, even something like the ARL-44, a couple of other vehicles. I think the Lorraine might be in there. You can do it with the T10M as well. The T10M only has an 8mm grate, and I have done it with Aidens before. It was hilarious. I think the Aidens at one point had exactly 8mm of pen on high explosive. So what I did was I took the Aidens, I went vertical on the T10M, and I just sprayed into its engine deck and exploded its fuel tanks. But, you can't really do that anymore. It's really, really nice to have M3s as well, because you have that rate of fire. If you equip ground targets, like I've failed to do here, I don't have the belts unlocked yet, it could be extremely deadly, and you'll see me do a strafing run on a Panzer 4, I believe it is, and I managed to take out a few crew in a single strafing run. This is pretty big, and this is something I would have over the Firefly, but at the same time, you could just use more RP3s. And I would say RP3s are better, because you don't need to go top down for an RP3. You can come from the side on a Panzer 4. You can come from the side from for a T-34. There are certain things that the RP3s can do that guns just simply will never amount to for the British. Even the Mollins gun is nowhere near as effective as RP3s, in my opinion. But the Firecrest, overall, not a bad plane, and honestly, it's probably worth researching. If you are in a squadron, I'm not sure how it works just yet. I just found this plane in my tech tree. I found it was worth some golden eagles. I had some lying around, and so I bought it. And you know what? I don't regret it. I don't regret it one bit. So, if you have that chance, honestly, it's worth a pickup. It's worth a pickup just for the fun. You do have to be good with the rockets, and it's looking pretty bleak for me. I'm pretty off with the rockets, but the plane itself is fine. It's pretty good. You can see this shot here with the rockets is disgusting and beautiful at the same time. Never take full ammunition in your tanks, guys. Never take full ammunition in your tanks, because that is exactly what I capitalized on there. The Firecrest is a bit of a mixed bag. It's good. It's probably not great in ARB. You've only got 600 rounds, and the endurance really isn't going to cut it. It does get a nice torpedo. Might be good in Navy, but I would say ground forces is where it's at the best. It's fairly versatile in ground forces. Not as great as the Firefly Mark V. I would say that thing reigns supreme, but at the same time, it's rare. It's kind of interesting. I bought it for only 1,000 GE. If you have 1,000 spare, might be worth picking it up. And if not, by the time this video goes live, they change it, then maybe, I don't know, maybe it's worth grinding it out. It's, 180,000 activity, something like that. That's not a whole lot of activity, considering that, I think it resets every week or two. You should be able to get it pretty quickly. It resets. I actually don't know how long it resets. Someone in the comments let me know. But I'm assuming the Firecrest will be out for a while. It should be reasonable. It shouldn't be like a massive grind. Maybe the ITV will be a decent grind. I'm yet to acquire that vehicle and do a video on it. But for now, the Firecrest and the Excelsior seem to be in a really, really good combination. They seem to work really well together. And honestly, it's not a bad pickup, especially if you can get this thing for GE. It's certainly not bad. I would recommend it. It's probably not as good as its tech tree opponents, but it is a rarity, and it is kind of cool. It's a decent cast plane. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is cut out the bit that shows me crashing my Firecrest into the ground. One thing that you have to realize is I would always come in for a landing with a bit of throttle, or avoid using the air brakes. So, yeah, learn from my mistakes, please. Don't make the same mistakes. But anyway, I jump into my Sherman 2. Now, the Sherman 2 is probably the most... it's one of the better 3.7 British tanks. I would say it's the best. It's simply because it has a stabilizer and APHE. It's got decent pen. It's got decent armor for its battle rating. You can have a good harass at Panzer 3s. Some T-34s, some KV-1s will have trouble. It's basically an M4A1, slightly British, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but someone let me know in the comments. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good tank, and this thing is pretty fun. Look at that APHE go on that Panzer 3. I needed to take him out so I could run to the cap, make sure he didn't shoot me. I didn't know it was out, so I'm sorry if I kill-stole someone, but I wasn't unsure. There wasn't enough communication, and that's understandable. The Sherman 2 is a fairly mobile tank for the most part. Not as mobile as, say, the Panzer 4 or the T-34, but I would say the gun more than makes up for that. It's got a short-stop stabilizer. It's pretty good overall. Got decent pen, decent post-pen. APCR, which means you can sort of deal with KV-1s. Although, it is a little bit... its armor isn't great, against Panzer 4s. And this is exactly what I'm about to go up against. I see someone mark something on the map, and I didn't see that Panzer 4 at all. I just didn't spot him in this winter map. Everything that's slightly dark looks like an object, like a vehicle or something. Maybe a burnt out wreck or a train cart. I just didn't see it. And, my blunder, I was hoping someone would come up and, finish him off for me. But it's not really the case. I get blown up by a Bf-110. And so, I haven't really got much else of a choice but to hop into my next plane. And that is the Hurricane. So, I'm looking at 11 kills here. Not bad. Not a bad feat at all. I'm trying to make it 12. And I'll just skip the bit where I, come into the battlefield. And, this thing isn't too bad. The Hurricane, I've got an ace crew for this. I've played the living hell out of it, honestly. It's a very, very good cast plane. It's also a fairly good dogfighter. It's got great low-speed handling. And it's got 12 30 cal machine guns. So anything that gets close gets blown up to pieces. Doesn't matter what it is. PE-8 doesn't stand a chance. Bombers don't stand a chance. Fighters don't stand a chance against its guns. You need gun time, though, and that's what the Hurricane excels at. It can sit behind someone and spray for days and just absolutely wreck them. And that's exactly what I'm looking at doing to this BF-110, because I don't know if he's got guns that can pen something. I know there's an Su-76 up that is open-topped. I really don't want to, lose another vehicle. We're starting to get low on tickets. The time is bleeding out. We're at like 3-4 minutes. I need to make some kills here. And, it's not always easy to make kills in the Hurricane. And what we'll do is we'll skip a little bit forward because I don't want to drag this video out too much more. You can see I've run out of rockets. Haven't got myself any more kills. I'm a minute 50 away from losing a match by 200 tickets after spending half an hour in it. It's a little bit disappointing, but I'll make a video on RP gain in a bit. But for the most part, this match has been pretty good. 12 kills. I made a fair amount of RP for losing. You'll see at the end of the video. And honestly, I came away happy. It was a good win by the enemies. They ended up having more vehicles than us at the end, and they just managed to take the kills while I was, not being able to capitalize on that. And that's a fair win by the enemies. Good job on them. Shout out to the enemy team, And yeah, not a bad loss for me, but a little bit sore. I'm someone who I don't like losing. I want to win if I can, and I always win if I can. If I lose, that's because I stuffed up somewhere. I should have been better somewhere. And one of the places you could see in this video that I should have been better was with my rockets. But, that comes in practice. It was a pretty good match. Anyway, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoy. I'll be on a cooking stream on my Twitch as this video goes live, hopefully. And I hope to see you all there. Make sure you check out all the links in the description as well, because there are some important ones there. Just go and check them out. Have some fun. Look at that RP. I'll make a video on RP and losing in a bit. But for now, take care. I'll see you on stream. And I'll catch you next time.